1997. Dat is dus 21 jaar Queen-muziek in 2 uur. Maar zover is het nog niet. We beginnen zoals gezegd eerst met het interview met Briannel. En ik kan je vertellen, het is een hele open en imponerende man.
Dan kan ik je een hele introductie gaan geven, maar dat is volgens mij absoluut niet nodig als je gewoon kijkt naar de man die op dit moment naast me zit. En dan moet ik het ook nog eens een keer gewoon zeggen, hij zit naast me, Briannel.
Hi Isabel.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's so great having you here.
Thank you. I'm happy
Even
to
scared
be
of touching, actually.
No, you can touch anything. They've all been touching me.
Give a hand. I'm like, oh. Yeah, that's true.
I'm happy.
On the mics and everything. So you got a new album out, new single out.
Yes.
It's been a while though since you.
It's been a long time, yeah. Especially for me personally. I mean, there has been various bits of Queen activity, which really now is kind of a sideline, you know, because I am me, you know, and we have to be, you know. Queen was something very special, and I'm proud of it, but you can't be Queen without Freddie.
Oh, true.
You know, so I've been really involved in this project for the last 6 years, which is a long time. Yeah,
wow.
On and off. You know, there's been a lot of other stuff, but this project has been taking shape for that amount of time. So I'm excited. I have to tell you, this is the first time today I held this thing. You know, when you're a musician, you wait for this moment when you actually hold this thing, and it's very exciting. So I brought it to show you. This is the single.
Single.
I'm like a kid, you see.
On
it's like
my way up. And
this is the album.
Beautiful cover of the album, and the album is called Another World.
This beautiful tree.
Yeah, there's a story about this tree. You got to tell it, you know.
Yeah. I saw this tree in a magazine somewhere, a travel magazine, and I thought I have to find that tree because of the wonderful shape. It looks like a woman, you know. And the album was about another world, you know, things not being quite what they seem, and this seemed the best kind of visual parallel. So we went to the island where this tree lives. In a secret island in the Canaries, and we found the tree, and I did the photo session. And then we found all kinds of other things, strange rocks that looked like animals and things. So we did a number of photo calls there, you know, and you'll see on the album there's various strange things, and you think, is that an animal, or what is that, you know, is that cloud an animal, or what?
That is the nicest thing about nature.
Yeah, so I got very involved in this.
Now, you're very involved because we all know that when you take a picture, a snapshot, it's done in a sec. But how long did you have? Wasn't that very tiring?
You know, the funny thing is I was doing everything but that when we were doing the session. I was trying to sort of make the same shape as the tree or interact with it somehow. And then I got really tired. I went, oh, okay, because my back was aching. And luckily Richard clicked, you know, and I thought, maybe that's the one, you know, and he did too. And then we brought them all back, all these things which we'd worked out, and then this was just the one.
It is a great picture.
It had to be the one because of all these curves and the way.
It's
There's
beautiful.
a kind of bonsai thing about this.
And also Another World gives something wide, and this is a wide picture as well. And you just said that it's about things that are not there, that are not really there?
Yeah, it's about things changing shape and trying to find another world in a kind of parallel universe, I suppose.
So that is a very good title, I think, for the
Yeah,
album.
it works, and it became the theme. You know, you work with things sometimes for years and you don't know quite what you're doing, and then suddenly you think, I understand now what I'm doing. You know, like supposing you were painting a picture every day, and then finally you thought, it all fits together, and that's how I was with this album, really.
And it starts with an intro, with a lot of sounds, guitars, synthesizers, and it's called Space. You also have something with, well, not really space, but with stars, right?
Yeah, that's my history, really. Yeah, I was trained to be an astronomer.
You were also trained for that?
Yeah.
Really? I thought you were just interested.
No, I actually was an astronomer for quite a while. I did a degree course in physics for 3 years, and then I did 4 years postgraduate astronomy. So I was this guy. And it was great, but music had a calling, you know. I had to do this somehow. I had to play guitar and
Good, you did, you know.
I had to.
It would be, well, a waste is maybe hard to say, but a waste if you wouldn't have switched.
Yeah, it would have been bad for astronomy if I'd stayed.
But is that why you open with, because that is a part of your life, is that also the reason that you started out with that track or not?
Well, there's always more meanings, I suppose, like it says in Another World, you know. And space, yeah, it's about stars and stuff, but also it's about an inner space, you know. And I got the idea for the track from a guy who was doing therapy with me. And he said, you know, if things are hurting you, if you're in pain, then what you can do is make a little space around you, like in your head, so they can't hurt you anymore. You know, and things in the past that hurt you, you can say, well, that's over, so there's a little space here between you and them. And things in the future which you're scared about, you make a little space, you say, you know, it's not going to happen 5 minutes, it's not going to happen in 5 hours, it's not going to happen in 5 days, so I'm safe. So you make this little space around you and you can breathe again. And I found that very useful, so I thought I would kind of share that with.
I will remember that, actually.
Isn't
I think
that good?
It's very useful.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Because sometimes you think, I can't move, I can't breathe, you know, and that just gives you enough room to breathe. Okay, you have a little clearing around you, you know. Sometimes it helps.
Wow.
So that's like the key to getting through the album, you see.
That's the best opening, I
Yeah.
think. And then On My Way Up. I think for the first single, Brian May comes out with his first single of his album, On My Way Up. Can you go any higher?
Well, my life is like this, you know, so it may not, you know, you never know whether you're going like this or like that, you know, but at the time, all you care about is that you can find a place where you're moving up, and that's the best feeling, isn't it? You know, it sometimes doesn't matter how high you are, it's your direction that matters.
Yeah, well, they say, like, you have to go down before you know that you went up.
Yeah, the song is kind of like that, you know, because it's kind of an optimistic song, but it's like someone's going, well, I'm going to be optimistic no matter what happens, you know, it's that kind of feeling.
Just held on to it. Is this like your moods and your experiences? Do you think without all that you've been through in the past, you could not have made this album?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been this album. It would have been a different album, I'm sure, yeah.
Because it goes I think it's a very personal album.
It is, yeah. I suppose all my stuff is very personal, but the conscious decision I made was to try and interact with the outside world for this album, you know, so it is very personal. Everything is about what's in the mind, really. But I worked with lots of people, and I got lots of triggers from great people with great ideas, and I think that's why this is a better album than what I've done before, really.
And there is a lot of tributes to the people that inspired you on there.
Yeah.
Like to who, for example? Like who are your...
Well, Jimi Hendrix is one.
Jimi Hendrix.
There's a little-known track there which I covered, which is actually a dream, and I was intrigued by dreams. Some of my songs have been inspired by dreams.
Really?
And this song, which Jimmy wrote, I know was a real dream. You know, he saw this vision, and it really sends shivers up my spine. And I used his words and his phrasing exactly, but sort of changed some of the music. So Jimi Hendrix is a big part of my, you know, he's God for us, still, you know. And then there's a song by Mott the Hoople. And Mott the Hoople was a very kind of legendary touring band in our day, and Queen supported Mott the Hoople. It's the only time we supported anyone, actually, and we were just young boys thinking that we knew it all, you know. We went out with Mott the Hoople, who were a very experienced rock and roll unit, and suddenly the world exploded. It was like, I mean, that tour was madness beyond compare, and so the song is a kind of an encapsulation of that feeling, and it became part of my life. You know, I became a rock and roll sort of animal in some way. I mean, there isn't really a stereotype, but you know, you become involved in this world of rock music and you can never get out. You know,
No.
it just absorbs you, and that's it for you, you know. That's what I found.
It's something you have to do. I think it's something you're born with.
I love it. I consider it a privilege to be in it. It's great.
Aren't you a little bit nervous as well about this album coming out? Because there's a lot of people that are going to say, Brian May, after Queen, you know, let's just tear every little piece about the album apart and listen to it.
Yeah. Well, in some ways it's an advantage, because at least people very often will give it one listen because they've heard who I am or something. In some ways it's a disadvantage because people have preconceived ideas and they think, oh, he must be successful, maybe he's just coasting, you know, maybe he doesn't care anymore or something. But so you have to kind of work your way through the prejudice in both directions, you know. And but I'm just somebody who believes in what I'm doing. I've spent a long time doing this, and I wouldn't put it out until I felt like I had something to say.
This is it.
You know, yeah. So this is it, and I'm proud of it. And
Did you let it hear to your other Queen colleagues? Like as sort of a test? No, they haven't heard?
Nobody's heard a note yet, no. No, it's funny, isn't it? Well, there was one song which was going to be on this album, which is called No One But You.
No One But You.
Because originally, anciently, this album was going to be all tributes. I was going to make it all like revisiting my childhood and my influences, you know, like and Jimi Hendrix was one of them. And I was going to write all these songs or perform all these songs because of my heroes. So it was going to be heroes, you know, Brian May, heroes. And then I gradually sort of moved away from that idea. But the hero, the final hero on the album was going to be Freddie, you know, because he was really a hero, you know. So I wrote this song, No One But You, about him. But it started to sound like Queen, and I thought, well, if it's going to sound like Queen, maybe it should have Roger and John on it. So I played it to them, and they loved it. We did it, we played it together, and it became a Queen song. So I lost it for this album. And
it's still somewhere, though.
But the great thing was that kind of made up my mind that the album was no longer going to be this tribute thing. It was going to be something of the future. It was going to be my own ideas, my own journey. And this is my own journey.
Wow.
My own feelings.
Just before the camera started rolling, I said, like, I really admire it that people can, like, talk about their music when they're so much into music. And I'm just sitting here going, you can put it into words so greatly.
You think so?
Yes,
well,
definitely.
I think I'm better at putting it into music, really. I am a little resistant to talking about music, because sometimes you can destroy it, you know?
Yeah.
I can say things much more profoundly in the music than I can by talking about it.
You have to feel it.
Yeah. So I hope that people take this home and sit and it envelops them. And that's what you want, you know. Like when I used to get an album when I was a kid, you know, I'd take it home and it would be like my life for a few days, you know. You wouldn't even come out. So I'm very conscious of that. You know, music can be that powerful. It can be disposable, but it can also be something which stays with you for your whole life.
Forever, definitely.
Yeah.
Are you also going to go on tour?
Yeah, we had a big setback and a very sad event because Cozy Powell, who made most of this album with me, was killed in a car crash about 2 weeks ago, just out of the blue. We just finished the album and we just agreed that we were going to go on tour. And the last conversation I had with Cozy was he was excited and he said, you know, I've been waiting for this for 6 years. We'll get out on the road, we'll have fun, you know, because it was great fun. And he's no more. Suddenly, you know, my friends are checking out, you know.
That must be so... Yeah, I was just going to say that. That must be so hard.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I can see how people become, like, detached from reality because your brain can't compute it. You know, I can't believe that he wouldn't walk in here and go, oh, I'm fine, it was only a joke, you know, because that's the kind of guy he was. He was very funny and it's not the kind of guy who you think can die, you know. So we don't have Cozy, and I would like to tour still, but I have a big problem to solve, you know, because he was not just a drummer. He was something very special, you know. He was a big part of the spirit of what we were doing, you know. And I have to find a drummer, I suppose, and it's not easy.
No, I can imagine
really
that.
Not someone of that kind of quality and charisma and talent. He was great. So Cozy, we're doing it for you now.
I really admire the way you say this.
Well,
you know, I do. Like, I don't think that's an easy thing, and especially...
Yeah.
And the way you handle it, like, I don't know you that well, but the way I see you talking about it now, I think it's pretty... Yeah.
Well, in different circumstances, you handle it different ways. You know, in private, you have a good cry, you know, and then... But then somehow life has to go on, and you have to do it in the right way.
Show must go on, someone said, huh?
Yeah. I've actually done a remix of one of the tracks on this album for Cozy, because it's very full of drums. The first big track on this album is called Business. So in England we're going to put that out as a tribute to Cozy. I was going to do it in Europe. Maybe we can do it here later. But this single was already kind of on its way out in Europe, so we couldn't change it. But we have a special Cozy, a rock-on Cozy mix of Business. So maybe in Holland after this
I would
we'll put that out. Yeah, I think we should.
And well, what about videos for this album, for the single?
I haven't done anything. I actually find videos very difficult because, except in rare, you know, there are some great videos. There's probably about half a dozen what I would call great videos that add to your kind of perception of a song, but a lot of them for me become an image which spoils your own internal image of a song, you know. I've always had a problem with that. So I've been nervous about making videos for this album because it is something very much in the mind. Maybe we can do it, I don't know. But also, we made the decision we would get out and play, and playing is the best thing, you know, if you can do that. And hopefully we can do that, you know, we're supposed to be musicians.
Oh, we're supposed to be musicians, come on.
Yeah, well, you know, people forget. I forget too, you know. And I have a mountain to climb also because I haven't done it for 6 years. You know, I've played with people on stage sometimes.
But not in the spotlight like that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a big thing and it's a big challenge.
I can imagine
Especially singing, because I can play guitar all day and I love playing guitar. But everything on this album I've sung because I believe I should, because it's my ideas and it's my feelings, you know. And it's one thing in the studio because you can do it in bits, you know, you can come back each day and make sure you get it right, you know, but on stage you get one chance and you have to be so fit to sing at this sort of... I mean, this is very kind of impassioned music, most of it. You know, it's not singing like Bing Crosby. I have nothing against Bing Crosby, but, you know, this is all very kind of...
From inside.
Yeah, most of this I'm stretching myself to the limit. So to do that for 2 hours on stage at night is tough, really tough, you know. Singing is like the most athletic thing in the world to do.
I can imagine that, especially when there's so much emotions and feelings. Like just singing a song, like you said, is perhaps easier.
Yeah, and you have to be fit. And I now know why Freddie would never go out after a show, you know. He would never drink, he wouldn't smoke, he wouldn't speak, because he had to keep his voice in trim, you know. And if I'm on tour, I have to be the same now, which is tough, you know. You can't play so hard.
That must be hard.
You can work hard, yeah.
Do you have like singing lessons then as well, just to train that, if you would?
No,
or?
I did have a couple of sessions with a singing teacher a few years ago, which was good, and it made me think about breathing and stuff and looking after the voice. But mainly, it's just the way I feel.
The way it comes out emotionally. And if you would go out on stage, you can perhaps take somebody with you to do that. You know, like, because Brian May will also look at your...
Yeah, I could take a singer.
Perhaps, like...
Yeah, I could do.
Because it's a combination. Like, Brian May on the stage with his guitar, like...
I don't want to do that anymore, though. You know, if I haven't got Freddie, I don't want anyone else, really. No. And I did that for 10 years, well, 20 years of my life. Maybe more. I don't know. And it's great, but, you know, now I have the opportunity to put the songs across personally and make that contact with an audience. It's incredible. It's like an eye-to-eye thing, you know. And I sort of became addicted to it on the last tour. It's incredible. You know, it's difficult. But it's
you get something back for it as well.
It's incredible, yeah. It's an amazing feeling.
Probably hypes you up all the way. And what about doing writing, producing for other artists? Is that something that you want to do?
I've done some of it. I've produced a few albums for other people. But I find the commitment is so huge. You know, you have to spend realistically 9 months of your life to make a good album, whether it's your own or someone else's. And nowadays I find it too much, you know, and life is very short. I'm very conscious of that now. I have all this stuff that I want to do, to sing and to play, you know, songs that I want to put across, and there isn't enough time. So unless there's a miracle, you know, and something comes along where I'm absolutely blown away and I have to produce this artist, I don't want to do it anymore. I like doing my own things, you know. That's what I'm here to do, I think.
And it takes up a lot of your time.
It takes all the time.
How long did it actually, did you record it in parts, this album? Or did you, once you go in the studio, you record an album?
No, it used to be that way. We used to record an album in 3 weeks or something. But now, I spent 6 years living with this thing, and I have a studio at home, and I did it all at home. And I suppose that's a luxury, you know, but it means you can just go in when you really feel like you've got something to say or to play. And it also means you can throw stuff away, you know. Like if you decide to make an album in 3 weeks, you're stuck with it, you know. You make it and you put it out. But the way I've been doing it now, if I don't like something, I can take it out and replace it, or I can change it and stuff, you know. It's like painting a picture. It's like having this canvas in front of you, big canvas, and for months or years you can keep putting little brush strokes on, and eventually you think, okay, it's finished now.
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a luxury to be able to do that.
Well, you're doing a very good job at it, and I must say it was really, really great having you here. And there's a little thing I want to tell you about the Music Factory. We started 3 years ago, and the first video that people got to see on the Music Factory was one of your videos.
Really?
So it's great to have, like, the man of the first video team.
That's very nice.
Here right now.
Well, this is for you, Isabel.
Thank you very much. I want you to sign it, though. Don't leave here without you signing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I do hope that you go on tour, everything works out.
Yeah, I hope to be here around October, you know. Supposing we find the right guy to handle the drum thing, you know. I hope to be out here, so...
Good luck with that, and I will hope that everything works out. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Isabel.
Brian May.